In the Vatican, thousands of faithful bid farewells to Pope Francis at St. Peter's Basilica. His body will be lying in the state until the funeral on Saturday. A new flight with 174 Venezuelan migrants arrived in Caracas from the United States on Wednesday as part of the return to the homeland plan. In Palestine, the Ministry of Health reported that in the last 24 hours, Israeli bombing has killed 39 civilians in the Gaza Strip. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The body of Pope Francis has entered St. Peter's Basilica after being carried across St. Peter's Square and is now lying in a state after the liturgy of Word has ended. The procession, which lasted just under 4 minutes, saw the transfer of the body of Pope Francis from his residence in Santa Marta, passing through St. Peter's Square and concluding at St. Peter's Basilica. Cardinal Camerlengo Kevin Farrell has just completed liturgy of the Word. University professors in Argentina go on a strike for 24 hours and prepare to rally against Milei's government policies. This Wednesday, the Union of University Teachers explained that they will mobilize towards Congress together with the retirees' protest as a measure of force against the state. The union is asking authorities for a reinstatement plan to return to living wage to the workers of the sector. A new flight with 174 Venezuelan migrants arrived in Caracas from the United States on Wednesday as part of the return to the homeland plan. The aircraft with 29 women and 145 men was welcomed at the Maiquetía airport by several officials at the Venezuelan government. The flight is part of the project implemented by President Nicolás Maduro to ensure that the dignified return of Venezuelans who have suffered great mistreatments abroad as a result of the criminal narrative spread by the Venezuelan right wing supported by the government of the United States and El Salvador. The Venezuelan government rejected fake news published by the U.S. press against the national energy sector, describing them as media and economic attack against the country. The Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez assured that the accusations of the U.S. news agency are false and assured that the national oil company PDVSA continues to comply with its commitment established in the contracts with the company Chevron. All this after the Reuters accused PDVSA without evidence of not complying with the agreements with the transnational company Chevron by supposedly diverting oil cargoes to other markets. In this regard, Rodriguez points out that the Venezuelan government has evidence that refutes the statements made by Reuters and reaffirms the country's determination to continue with the economic and energy recovery despite the sanctions and disinformation campaigns. In this regard, the Executive Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, announced through her social network that Reuters is lying shamefully again. PDVSA maintains its commitments with Chevron as contemplated in its contract and in accordance with the law of the country. Chevron, on the contrary, is a victim of unlawful sanctions by the U.S. government. We have evidence of this in our hands. Apparently, Reuters made lies and its daily routine and disqualification itself from dealing with energy issues in Venezuela and the world as well. Venezuela will follow its own road to recovery despite criminal blockades and mediocre media falsehood. Venezuela continues to overcome the economic crisis generated by the illegal U.S. sanctions. In this scenario, citizens reiterate with the help of a special program Return to the Homeland also have the opportunity to work in favor of the economic growth of the country. Let's see the following report of our colleague Bruno Falsi.
The Return to the Homeland plan has helped more than 1 million migrants to return to their country and their families, along with the state's productive reintegration programs.
It is a great mission, that is to say, it is an interinstitutional social program that has several work areas. In that sense, one that is being activated today is the socio-economic vertex with a joint effort with the National Fund of Programs for Small and Medium Enterprises with HomePime to start the training plan as part of the whole entrepreneurship policy. There is a route that has to do with training, strengthening, financing and also the fairs. So in this process we are activating the training route.
The National Fund of Reciprocal Guarantees for Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises together, with a mission back to the homeland, are training the repatriated groups to enter the labor market so that they can return to their daily lives and foster the nation's economic growth.
The program is a new program that was born with the same characteristics of the Venezuelan policies, the economic prosperity policies of the president, but now it has directly focused on all of this, with nationals who come to strengthen their knowledge, their hopes, but also to embrace their dreams and their illusions in a loving and economic way, so that they can have productive projects that generate added value and projects that are sustainable over time for their well-being as a family and also for the territorial development and the development of the country as well as the economic prosperity that we are witnessing.
Venezuelans have expressed their desire to contribute to the economic growth of this South American country and to return to their families.
I made the decision to return because I felt insecure there, economically unstable. I also come with my 2 children, one 12 years old and one 3 years old. The lack of emotional support there is also strong. Being away from the people you love is hard. Thanks to the homeland for helping us, because this was really hope, as they say.
I had already left my country for about 6 years. I was in Ecuador and Peru, but I got tired of being over there, without my family, without my loved ones. I have 3 children and well, I came back here. I feel very happy with this plan. I am very happy that they gave me the opportunity to be here with my family. I feel lucky. These policies are part of the National Development Plan known as the 7 transformations promoted by the government of this country with the objective of achieving full economic independence.
Let's take a very first break, but remember you can join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. The Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, arrived on Wednesday in China to strengthen binational diplomatic relations with the ASEAN. Rodriguez was received at the Beijing airport by the delegation headed by the Deputy Director of the Department of Latin America and the Caribbean of the Chinese Foreign Ministry of Venezuela's ambassador to the country, Regimio Ceballos. The first International Congress of Entrepreneurs began on Wednesday in Caracas, an event promoted by the Venezuelan government that seeks to promote the exchange of experiences of entrepreneurs from all over the world. During the next 2 days, this meeting will bring together at least 300 international guests from more than 60 countries at the Simon Bolivar Park Convention Center. Nearly 100 national entrepreneurs will explore new global and emerging economic trends. In this context, the Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, stressed the importance of strengthening entrepreneurship.
Well, we wanted to be here in China welcoming all those international congressmen and women who have come to our country, the entrepreneurs of Venezuela, who are participating in this first International Congress of Entrepreneurs. Undoubtedly, a milestone in the history and what represents the economic engine for Venezuela, for Latin America and for the world, the entrepreneurial engine. I want, on behalf of President Nicolas Maduro, to welcome and open this important Congress, considering the importance of entrepreneurship on the planet and in the international economy.
China said on Wednesday that its doors were wide open for talks with the U.S. after President Donald Trump softened his tone of the unfolding trade war between the world's two largest economies. During a daily press briefing, China's Foreign Minister spokesperson Wu Yahukun reiterated that Beijing advocates negotiations on the basis of equality and respect. The day before, U.S. President Donald Trump expressed optimism about making a deal with China and said he expected that high tariff for Chinese goods to come down, but not to zero.
There are no winners in tariff wars or trade wars, and protectionism leads nowhere. Decoupling and breaking chains will only isolate oneself. Regarding the tariff war initiated by the United States, China's stance is clear: we do not want to fight, but we are not afraid to fight. We will fight to the end if you want to have a tariff war, but if you want to have negotiations, our door is open. If the U.S. truly wants to resolve issues through dialogue and negotiation, it should stop threats and blackmail and engage in dialogue with China on the basis of equality, respect, and mutual benefit.
Moving on, the International Coral Reef Initiative announced on Wednesday that harmful bleaching of the world corals has grown to include 84% the ocean's rift in the most intense event of its kind in record history. Coral bleaching happens when corals are stressed by change in conditions such as temperature, light, or nutrition, and when they expel the symbiotic algae living in their tissue, causing them to turn completely white. First coral bleaching event occurred in 1998 during a strong El Niño that was followed by a very strong La Niña, which brings warmer waters to places like Palau and Micronesia in the Pacific.
We've just reached 1.5 degrees in the ocean, and you see the repercussions in this 2023, 2024 bleaching event, and it's unprecedented. And you know, that's what 1.5, if that's what 1.5 looks like, you know, and we're not even going to make 2 degrees at the current trajectories. It's very alarming. So I think people really need to recognize what they're doing, you know, by the inaction. It's the kiss of death for coral reefs.
We're seeing forecasts that temperatures are going to continue to stay high. There's no reason that they will be dropping down. So there's no indication that cooling will be going on. And so with all of that, we're looking at just continuing this heat stress out. That heat stress is what causes corals to bleach, and if it continues long enough or is severe enough, causes corals to die.
In Ecuador, authorities report floods and landslides following heavy rains in several regions. The National Secretariat of Risk Management reported that at least 3 parishes are at high risk due to the floods caused by the overflowing of river, which affect around 12,000 families. The agency also said that commercial establishments are closed since the floods damage basic goods. In Turkey, a magnitude 6.2 earthquake was felt in Istanbul on Wednesday. Authorities report so far 151 people injured as they tried to exit a building out the windows. U.S. Ecological Survey said the earthquake had a shallow dip of 10 kilometers with at the epicenter some 40 kilometers southwest of Istanbul in the Sea of Marmara and was felt in several neighboring regions. Let's take a last break, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. In Palestine, the Ministry of Health reported that in the last 24 hours, Israeli bombings has killed 39 civilians in the Gaza Strip. Medical sources also detailed that 105 people were wounded as a consequence of the escalation of the genocide perpetrated by Israel in Gaza. Health authorities stressed that it continuous attacks on their medical teams made it difficult to them to rescue the wounded in the rubble. Likewise, they confirmed that the number of Palestinians killed by the Zionist offensive reached 51,305, among them women and children, when the number of wounded is 117,096. The King of Jordan, Abdullah, warns about Israeli escalation against occupied West Bank and rejects attempts to displace Palestinians to other lands. After meeting with the delegations of France and the United States, King Abdullah II emphasized the need to restore the ceasefire in Gaza and resume the flow of humanitarian aid. He noted that Israel continues to violate the holy site in Jerusalem, driving the forced displacements of Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza. In Yemen, Houthi forces confirmed on Wednesday a missile was launched towards northern Israel. Houthi military spokesman Hassari announced that the Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation aimed at a vital target of the Zionist enemy in the occupied region of Haifa. For its part, the Israeli army said that anti-aircraft sirens sounded in Haifa and other areas in the north of the country. Since the beginning of the Israeli genocide against Palestine, Houthi forces have launched dozens of missile attacks against Israel in support of the Palestinian people. In the UK, the Health Secretary was in a visit on Wednesday the Francis Crick Institute to monitor the new technology that is being developed to diagnose cancer faster and remove invasive tests. The UK government has therefore allocated €2.4 million to sponsor the cutting edge AI test. The National Institute for Health and Care Research leads the study, which uses over 20,000 patients' data. On the initial phase, scientists found out that the test could detect 12 of the most lethal cancers, including the of the bowel at an early stage with over 99% accuracy.
It gives us high definition and it's 10 times the magnification. And again, instead of making a big open cut and using my big hand, what I'm able to do is use those tiny miniaturized instruments to do the same movement in a really precise way, but within the abdomen through tiny little cuts.
Reading up about it, like post-recovery and things like that, said to be less invasive and to aid a quicker recovery after. So absolutely lots of faith in Miss Yassin for today.
Moving on, World Book Day is celebrated annually on April the 23rd, a day that encourages individuals to embrace reading as a daily habit and to recognize the influence of literature and authors on global culture and society. In addition, the day seeks to raise awareness about copyright protection and intellectual property, emphasizing the need to safeguard the rights of writers and creators. The 2025 data is dedicated to the role of literature in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, a theme that emphasizes how literary works can serve as tools for addressing global challenges. UNESCO declares April 23rd as a World Book Day in 1995 to coincide with the death anniversary of writers William Shakespeare, Miguel de Cervantes, and Garcilaso de la Vega, and honors their legacies. And with that story, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials around Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.
Un canto por la América Unida. Mira.